Hello everyone, this is Gene and I'm back with another video. So this video is going to be, it's somewhat related to the video I did last night, which was my right after the film, off the cuff review, long form review of the Sonic film, in which I said that basically I like the redesign of Sonic, I like the soundtrack, special effects are good, but the rest of it in my opinion fell flat. So, of course, as people do, right, I checked out other people's reviews of the film now that I've seen it for myself, right? I checked out The Amazing Lucas and Grace Randolph and Mecha Random 42 and many people. Now, the general consensus of these reviews is positive and fine, right? I'm not going to say that, you know, if you like the film or if you had a positive experience, you know, you're bad or something. I'm not the type to do that. I hope people enjoy it. But I do think that a lot of these positive reviews come more from wanting to reward the creators, especially the studio that did the redesign for Sonic. I think they went under. I think they went bankrupt or something. And I think a lot of the positive reviews are more because of that than necessarily it being a good movie. And I also think that at least from the reviews I've seen, the comments I've read, people are giving the film a pass because it's a children's film, so they're not I guess demanding much in terms of story. And okay, that's if that's what people want to do, that's fine, that's their choice. But what surprises me about this is that, and perhaps I should not be surprised, but it's the tribalism that is displayed whenever someone steps out line and says, hey, you know, I didn't quite think the film was all that great. For example, The Amazing Lucas did a review of the film, and I would say that if you want like a condensed version of my review, watch his, because he pretty much touched upon a lot of the same criticisms and critiques I had. So again, if you want to see a 10-minute version of my 35-minute video, it's probably best to watch his. But what's interesting is that in his comment section there are people, you know, of course, saying that he's wrong, debating his intentions and all this other stuff, right? But what's funny is how people, I guess, turn on you the moment that you step outside the party line. And perhaps I should not be surprised by this, but let's be honest. If The Amazing Lucas had liked the film, right, his audience would not be trying to roast him basically right now. And I have a problem with that. My problem is this: I'm not saying that a content creator and an audience always need to agree, right? Naturally, there are going to be things where you disagree, right? Your audience may disagree with you at times. You may disagree with the audience, right? In terms of a film, you may like a film other people hate. You may hate a film everybody else likes. And that's okay. But the problem I have is when, in my opinion, it's like, let the man have his opinion, right? Let him have his opinion. Just say, hey, you know, I don't agree, but, you know, I just feel like so many people in there are just going too hard, almost as if they're like trying to shame him into changing his mind, and I don't think that's an appropriate response to someone disliking a film you liked, right? The appropriate response, in my opinion, is simply, okay, you didn't like it, all right, I liked it, okay, we're of different opinions, right? Just respectful disagreement. But it just reminds me of that, of how, regardless of where you fall on the culture war and all that, certain things will remain true on both sides, which is that you are You're okay until you're not, right? You're okay until you step outside the party lines. Then all of a sudden now, right, you're the problem and all this other stuff. Even when you respectfully state your opinion. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's this little back and forth in the comments between me and a person in his comment section who I honestly think at this point is just trolling me. But who is now accusing me, a person he doesn't even know, of being angry and upset and all this other stuff because I didn't like the Sonic film. I'm like, bruh, I'm not mad. I made a 35-minute video right after the film. If I was going to be upset, it would be there, right? And if you've seen the video, seen any amount of it at all, I think it's easy to tell that I am not angry. I'm critical of the film because I noticed a lot of stuff that didn't make sense, or again, as I said several times, several emotional beats didn't really land because they weren't really allowed to sit and rest and play out. But this is the second thing I wanted to touch upon, which is this idea that if you are a critic, right, or you critique something, it must be done in anger, right? This person has called me judgmental, and now it's, oh, I'm angry. I'm like, bruh, I'm not mad. I am not mad. But it's funny how, right, critique is okay so long as you're critiquing what everybody else says is bad, right? Right? If you critique something that your audience likes, then suddenly it's, oh, you're in the wrong, or you're being judgy, or you're expecting too much. And I'm like, okay, but where's the lie? Where's the lie? If you're gonna say if you're effectively gonna say I'm wrong, or that Lucas is wrong, or anybody else is wrong, right? And your only defense is, well, everybody else liked it. Okay, point out in the critique where they're wrong. That's my thing. If you're gonna disagree on more than just, well, I enjoyed it. That's a subjective opinion. Just because you enjoyed it doesn't mean that it doesn't have flaws. It has flaws. It's that simple. It does. I pointed out specific scenes, specific moments, several times over that didn't make sense. That's what a person who critiques stuff does, right? You point out the good and the bad. That's what I did in my critique. Now, you can like the film. If you're going to spend money on it, I hope you get your money's worth. But if someone else doesn't like it, I don't understand this whole, you're wrong because I disagree. I don't understand this thinking. I don't think I ever have. It's one thing to be wrong because you are objectively wrong and here's why, right? And again, we can disagree. And believe me, Sonic would not be the first film to make a lot of money despite not being all that great of a film. Look at Captain Marvel. Look at 50 Shades. So on and so forth. Nobody would call them movie masterpieces, but they made bank. And I want to be clear. I'm hoping the Sonic film does well, but doing financially well does not always equate to good movie. And being a critic doesn't mean that you're always speaking out of anger. I'm not going to say that I've never done a critique out of anger. For example, I was absolutely furious when I did the review of the Glow comic a few months ago. I was incensed because I just found it to just be an insult to the profession and the history of pro wrestling, and in particular to Glow, to the actual gorgeous ladies of wrestling. But there's a difference between anger and a critique. And here's the thing, even a critique in anger, made in anger, can have validity. It can make points, right? But it just frustrates me so much how people can just turn on a dime, right? Just because you disagree with them. right? Not because you're wrong, but because you disagree. Look, I've heard of the wisdom of the crowd, but the crowd isn't always wise. Okay? It's that simple. And more importantly, and here's honestly what I don't want to happen as regards to the Sonic film. I don't want them to disregard critical reviews just because they're getting a lot of positive feedback and response, right? Just because it's largely positive doesn't mean that there's absolutely no problems. And I do think that valid critiques should be listened to, right? Sometimes you can have 99 people cheering and one person is like, hey, there's a problem here, and that person can be right. Just because everybody else is happy doesn't mean that the one, I guess you could say, contrarian in the crowd is wrong. Listen to what they have to say before you automatically dismiss them, because they could have a point. As I pointed out in my review, the storytelling of the Sonic film just isn't there. There are plot holes, emotional beats don't come off the way that they should, the pace is very rushed. And I want to be clear, I'm happy that people are happy, but that doesn't change the fact that this film has a lot of flaws. And especially since the end of the film does set up for the possibility of a sequel, because it shows a certain Sonic character that wasn't featured in the film proper. If you've ever played Sonic 2, you remember that there's 2 playable characters in that game, and that only one of them, Sonic himself, was featured in this film. So that second character appears at the very end of the film, at the, I think it's the post-credit scene, right? So they are setting up for the possibility of introducing a new character, which means setting up for the possibility of a sequel. If they're going to do a sequel, naturally you would want the sequel to be good, right? So I would say to the director and whatnot of Sonic that, look, I'm happy for you. I'm happy that the film is doing well and people are having a generally positive response. But don't automatically discard the negative responses either. Because some of them, like myself, like the amazing Lucas, actually do have valid critique. Right? Such as I said, the plot holes, the whole thing with Longclaw, I think her name was. And how the villains in the very beginning of the film never appear again. That's a plot hole. That's a plot hole 101. Or how the rings never run out, and outside of him briefly losing them, there is never any danger about them, right? You have these rings that can literally take you any place, in, not just on Earth, but on places outside of Earth. Remember, Sonic doesn't want to go to the Mushroom Planet, right? Wouldn't you be concerned about something like that being lost and possibly falling into the wrong hands, like Robotnik's hands? There's another plot hole, right? Why does he never have to worry about running out of rings? Why aren't the rings scattered across the world and he has to chase them down? Another plot hole, right? Why, for example, aren't law enforcement after him and Tom after they are declared terrorists? Another plot hole. Why does the sister-in-law hate Tom? It's never explained in the film because, for those who haven't seen it, Tom is married, but his sister-in-law can't stand him. It's never explained why. That's another plot hole, right? These are serious things that, yeah, if they're going to do a sequel, should be addressed. And I don't want these, in my opinion, legitimate critiques and issues drowned out by the voice of the crowd going, yay, they listened to us, yay! Because yes, I'm very glad that they fixed Sonic, but they made a bad film. It's just as simple. And let's be honest, this film would not be getting the praise it's receiving if A, they hadn't fixed Sonic, or B, if this were any other film. If you take Sonic out of it and you put some unknown anthropomorphic anthropomorphic or whatever it's called animal in there, people would be panning this film. People want to like it because it's Sonic, and they want to like it because they want to reward the creators for listening, and that's all well and good. But wanting to reward the special effects team and everything for listening does not negate having to tell a good story and make a good movie, which they didn't do, in my personal opinion. And I'm hoping that they will listen to the critique and address those issues if the film ends up making enough money to actually warrant a sequel. Because I would like to see a legitimately good Sonic film. But I think people are just, how do I put it? I guess the best way I can put it is, at least in my opinion, from my perspective, I think people are cheering this film on less because it's good and more because, right, if they don't cheer it on, then that means that it's bad and they can't handle that. It's almost the idea of the, how would I put it? I guess of the blind believer, right? Somebody who believes in, say, a higher power, right? Not because they are convinced, but because it's better to believe than to not believe, because not believing is scarier. That's the best way I can put it. That's what this outpouring, and especially the shut up, Eden, a response to legitimate critique comes across to me as. It's more of, you know, don't ruin my illusion, don't ruin my dream. And if that's the way you're going to approach the film, then maybe it's proof that it has problems and you don't want to acknowledge them. But anyway, that's my opinion, and probably the last film I'm gonna do on this movie. And again, I want to be clear. I hope people enjoy it. But people enjoying it and people being happy doesn't automatically mean it's good. And for me, I'd rather the film be good than for people to support it just to, like, get back at Birds of Prey or whatever it is. Right? That's just me. But anyway, that's the video. Let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.